everyone. Thank you all for joining. I hope you guys are having a great evening. We're going to go ahead and get started. I know there's still a few people rolling in, but I'm just going to do a little bit of introduction before we start with the program this evening. So thank you all for joining today's STEM missions program. My name is Sonika Viru, and I'm a sophomore at UC Berkeley studying computer science and cognitive science. And throughout high school, I've been involved with TANA, helping lead a variety of STEM outreach programs. I love interacting with the community and reaching out and inspiring the next generation of youth, just like the mentors before me did for me. And so today I am just here to introduce our expert and help launch your guys' evening tonight. So the Telugu Association of North India, also known as TANA, was founded in 1977. It is one of the world's largest and oldest regional associations from India in North America. For the past 44 years, TANA has excelled as a primary contact for many Indian families and strives to promote culture, language, and tradition. And even beyond this, TANA has been working to help support and inspire the next generation of kids and student leaders. So as a part of this effort, we are holding these STEM activities for middle school and high school age students, so from 11 to 18, to help promote STEM curiosity and help learn about different science, technology, engineering, and math opportunities from experts in the fields. So today we are happy to collaborate with STEM Flights, a nonprofit organization that provides customized aviation education and flight experiences to facilitate learning in science, technology, engineering, and math. Their mission is to provide a positive experience in general aviation and inspire America's youth to pursue STEM careers. So we're very thankful for this opportunity to collaborate with the TANA leadership and STEM Flights, and we hope to continue to support and inspire the next generation of kids in STEM and culture. So now it is my pleasure to introduce to you Carly Walker, the Director of Development at STEM Flights, who will be sharing more details and leading you guys throughout the rest of the evening and program. Handing it off to you, Carly, I will start sharing my screen.
Thanks, Sonika. I appreciate your help. And I'm very thankful that you are a computer science major there, so you can really help me out with this tech stuff. I can see that that's very much appreciated from your organization. Good evening, everyone, or if you're on the West Coast, good afternoon. I'm Carly Walker, and I am from STEM Flights. I'm the Director of Development, and I'm here tonight to tell you a little bit about what STEM Flights does, how you can get involved with us. And I'm going to give you a short presentation to illustrate a little bit about what STEM Flights is doing, how you can get a flight experience in your town, and how we want to help promote the next generation of STEM professionals and aviation enthusiasts. So this is going to be an awesome program. Even if you don't think you want to be a pilot, this might be something that you'd be interested in learning about aviation and STEM careers anyway. So again, we welcome you. I'm so thrilled to have this opportunity to speak to this organization. And many of you that are on this call tonight have already submitted your application to receive a STEM flight mission. So I thank you for that. And I'll explain to you how that works once we receive your application. But at the end of this opportunity, if you are interested in receiving a flight experience, you can sign up online. It's free for students, and our pilots donate their time and their aircraft to deliver a flight experience. So I'll answer all of your questions, and we'll go through a few videos, and we'll go through a few slides, and I'll talk to you about STEM Flights, and then I'm sure there'll be questions after that, and I'm happy to answer them. So Sonika, next slide, please. As Sonika already explained, she kind of let you know what our mission is and who we are, and I'll give you a little bit of background too. We were founded in 2018, so just a few years ago. The organization was founded by my dad, actually. It's a family nonprofit, and he is a retired F-16 pilot in the US Air Force. And when he retired, he got a small aircraft and he continued flying. But really what he loved doing was flying students around, because what would happen is the students would say, wow, that was such a great experience. I feel very inspired. And they would go on to either become pilots or maybe engineers, or maybe get involved in Washington, D.C. And they would always come back to him and say, that was so amazing. Flying with you just inspired me to do something bigger, to do something better, to get above my city and look down and realize the world is so much bigger and I can do so much more. So when he started hearing these stories over and over again after so many years, he had the idea to formalize the process and allow it to be replicated all over the US. Because we're aviation experts, we're all pilots, we have a large network of pilots, and we leaned on them to sign up to become pilot mentors and to take students flying in their own aircraft and talk to them about the aviation and STEM careers that they might be in, or that their backgrounds are in. So that's really how STEM Flights got started. We are, it organically grew. We are based in Virginia, but right now we are operating in 21 different states across the US. So if you're in one of those states that we're not technically operating in, have no fear, because what we do when we get a student applicant is find a pilot in your area. And we are able to do that through our network of pilots, and we identify those pilot volunteers in your area, we bring them on board, and then we're able to collectively pair them with a student. Sometimes it works the other way. Sometimes I have pilots sign up with us and I don't have students in that area, and then I go and find those students. So we're growing very organically all across the US. So our hope is that we'll be able to fly each and every one of you with a pilot mentor soon. Next slide, Sonika, please. We're going to play a quick video here, and before we play this, I just want to preface this. These are a couple of STEM flight students that we flew recently, and we really wanted to get their perspective on what the experience was like. So hopefully this will energize you, and you'll want to learn a little bit more, and potentially even get into the cockpit with us. You can go ahead and play, Sonika.
It'll be a great experience for you. It's an opportunity to see what.
My name is Simmons, and I'm a STEM flight student. At first, I was a bit nervous because it's just like a different perspective on life and everything. But I was really comforted when I was up there, and I felt really safe. The tools you use in aviation and the lessons you learn when you're flying and you're learning about flying goes really well with STEM careers and the things you will learn and use in STEM careers. If you haven't had the opportunity to go flying, you should really sign up for a STEM flight. It will change your perspective and kind of your life.
Awesome. Thanks, Sonika. You can go to the next slide. It's just a little of a little bit of a snapshot of what a STEM flight mission looks like. We do have more videos on our YouTube channel. You can just sort of you can go there and see the different videos from the different perspectives of people that touch our organization, and learn what a STEM flight mission really looks like. So here I'm going to talk about how to sign up for a STEM flight. So our website is pretty comprehensive. It's stemflights.org, and I put that address there on that slide. And these are the available missions. And what we really want you to do as students that are interested in this program is to check these missions out. Right now we have 6 of them. And these 6 missions were designed by pilots and educators together. And what we did is we took some aviation themes and we applied them to some STEM concepts. And the science educator and the pilot together worked on a curriculum, so to speak. So we ask all of the students who are interested in a flight experience to check these missions out and to also read a little bit about them online. And what you can do is here, I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen so that you all can sort of see exactly where they are. So when you go to our STEM flights mission, we have a 4 students section here. And you'll see our STEM missions, and it'll come up just like you see on the screen here. We're STEM.org accredited, and you can drill into these missions here. And it'll talk to you about the different career pathways and the different learning opportunities about each mission. Somebody might be interested in becoming just a pilot, general and commercial aviation. Military would probably also fall under here as well. So you can read a little bit about it and decide if that mission is right for you. Maybe someone's interested in climate and weather. This is a great mission to do, obviously, because climate and weather really affect flying. But there's also a lot of different STEM careers that have to do with climate and weather. So I would encourage you, if you're interested in signing up for a flight experience, to drill into each one of these missions and see which one you think you'd be the most interested in. And the reason being, when you are paired with a pilot mentor in your area, that pilot is going to deliver a flight experience that's going to be unique to the mission that you select. If you're interested in engineering and design, your pilot is going to be able to fly a mission that has some of these learning concepts inside the flight experience. So we really want you to decide which mission is right for you. And then your pilot will know that ahead of time before you get to the airport. It's going to be a seamless, awesome flight experience if you're both on the same page, if you've done the learning and curriculum ahead of time, and your pilot will be able to complement your learning that you've already done with the flight experience. Inside each mission are some links for you to do some further research, and then some questions to answer either to your pilot mentor or just amongst yourself. I'll let you take it back, Sonika. Great. So like we said, like we shared, you can apply online. The online application is really easy to complete. It's not long. We do ask for a letter of recommendation. And the reason we ask for that is because we want our students to really be invested into this program. Our pilot mentors are donating their time. It takes about 3 hours from start to finish for them, their aircraft and their fuel price. And if I can give them a student who's really interested in this, is really wanting this flight experience, has done their online learning, and is passionate about STEM and or aviation, the experience is so much better for the pilot as well. So we do ask for a letter of recommendation. This can be from a parent, it can be from a teacher, it can be from a friend, but we really want to see our students make that extra effort and outline the reasons why they're interested in receiving this flight experience. It is so helpful for our pilots to meet you when you are very excited to get in that cockpit, or at least, at the very least, very curious to get in that cockpit. Once we receive your online application, which just takes a few minutes, the letter of recommendation, and because you're a minor, you have to fill it out with your parent or guardian. They have to know that you're going to be flying around. You don't want to go flying and then tell your mom and dad what you just did. So they've got to be on board with you if you're under 18 years old, and they have to sign off on the waiver of liability as well. So once we receive your application and the letter of recommendation, that's when we can pair you with a pilot mentor in your area. And Sonika, let me share one more time my screen so I can show everybody exactly what I'm talking about here. I'm going to share one more time. So you'll go right here to our website that says for students, and it says apply for a STEM flight. You'll see a video here that I'm about to show you. It'll talk about the steps involved. And then this right here is an FAQ for students, frequently asked questions. This is probably going to cover most of your questions. If not, I'm happy to answer them in person, on the phone, via email, or in this chat tonight. But these are most of the questions that we get from parents and students. So I'd have a look through over that, see if there's anything in there that you still have questions about, and then you can apply here. This takes you to a partner website of ours, and you fill out this simple online application, and that's it. It's just a few questions. You got to do it with your parent or guardian, and that's about it. Again, the student section here of our website is pretty comprehensive. There's videos, there's STEM missions, and then there's some further reading here. You can learn about who we are. You can learn about how we got started. And you can see some photos of those that have flown before us, including our family here who form the nonprofit. There's a pilot section that you can feel free to peruse if you'd like to. You can see the application that they have to do and the information. And then here is educators. Just so you know, if there's anyone in the audience tonight, we are starting a Fly a Teacher program, and we love flying our teachers. If we can't reach all the students that we want in a certain area, sometimes what we like to do is take teachers up, and then they can come back to the classrooms and share their experience as well. So make sure you tell your teacher about it. We love to fly those people as well. And again, our website is comprehensive with lots of different information on here, including a blog, our various areas of expansion, and a really great section of all of the national press that we've received that you can feel free to read. I'm going to stop sharing now and back to you, Sonika. I think we are on slide number. Yeah, so we'll go on to this next slide, and I'll just say really quick before this video that we're going to share. Again, this one's on our YouTube channel too, so if you want to go back and rewatch it, that's fine. This video we created to really show you what a STEM flight mission is once you have been paired with your pilot mentor. What does it look like? What's going to happen that day? And you can see it from the perspective of these STEM flight students. Go ahead and hit play. Thanks, Sonika.
Once a student has been approved and matched with a pilot mentor, the STEM Flights experience begins online with learning about the science and career opportunities of the mission selected. Students are encouraged to explore all the STEM missions available, then select and study their area of interest. This is an important first step by the student, as it allows them to see the career possibilities that STEM and aviation can offer. The more time a student spends studying in advance, the smoother the flight goes, allowing more time for fun and learning in the cockpit. The most exciting part of a STEM flight experience is meeting the pilot mentor at the local airport and flying the mission. This is where the student and the guardian will have a chance to talk with the pilot mentor and learn about the details of the flight. The student participates in a thorough briefing of the mission objectives, use of the safety and educational checklists, and many other aviation subjects related to a STEM flight. After this mission overview briefing, the student and pilot mentor will walk to the aircraft for the pre-flight inspection and eventual takeoff. Most STEM flights last about 1 hour, depending on the mission selected. Both the student and the pilot mentor will complete a detailed checklist that covers the learning objectives and tasks to be completed before the mission ends. The STEM lessons taught inside the cockpit of the airplane are extensive and wide-ranging. A near continuous exchange between pilot and student ensures maximum learning. After landing, the student and pilot mentor will conduct a post-flight inspection and secure the aircraft. Then they will return to the terminal for a comprehensive debrief. This is an important part of the STEM Flights experience, as the student will have the opportunity to ask questions and learn more about the mission protocol. The pilot mentor will review the flight with emphasis on the student performance and accomplishment of the checklists and mission objective requirements. After discussions, the pilot mentor will complete a student grade sheet and award a certificate of accomplishment. Finally, the pilot mentor will offer follow-up career guidance and potential resource referral. The student is invited to critique the pilot mentor and the STEM flight experience with a follow-up survey available online. I'm Carly Walker with STEM Flights. We hope that you'll support our mission. There are many ways to partner with STEM Flights. Find out more on our website or find us on social media. Thank you.
Awesome. I'm sure you recognize the face there. Thanks, Sonika. Thanks for playing that for me. And go to the next slide. So now you've seen exactly what it entails to sign up for a STEM flight, the reading that you have to do to select your mission, the letter of recommendation that you must submit, the application with your parent, and now you have taken your flight. That's the most exciting part and the part that you won't forget. But we want to make sure that you know what's going to happen next. So we don't want to just leave you hanging. We want to enter you in our program that we call STEM Flight Following. So all students that go through our program are then taken to STEM Flight Following, where we'll issue a survey, find out how your experience was, what your level of interest in STEM is, and we'll track that data. And we'll also provide resources, scholarship databases, further mentoring opportunities, and programs that you can enter in after you've done your STEM flight. We really want to help take you along this pathway. There are some students that have flown with us 2 years ago now, and I still talk to them regularly, or their parent regularly. And some of the students have gone on to flight training. Some of the students have gone on to colleges and universities. Some students have gone into NASA programs. So there's lots of different opportunities and resources that we can help you with after that initial flight. But this STEM flight is meant to be an introduction to STEM and aviation careers, and we want to make sure we help you on that pathway. So every student is invited to join that, and we also invite our students to stay in contact with their pilot mentor. Sometimes if you have a pilot on the ground in your area, they can be the most helpful with programs that are in your specific community that could further your interest in aviation and STEM careers. So that is an integral part of our program that we want every single student to really take advantage of. Next slide, Sonika, please. This video right here, want to show everyone because it's from the perspective of our pilot mentor. This pilot right here, his name is Nathan, and he started his flying career from an experience that he had at an airport when he was a young person. He was flying with an organization called Young Eagles. Some of you might know about that if you know a little bit about aviation. It is another volunteer organization that provides experiences for youth, although this organization gives 20-minute flights with no STEM curriculum attached to it, but it's a great introductory way to fly. And in fact, I would encourage all of you to look up Young Eagles in your community. They're all over the country. It's a free flight experience. It doesn't come with any resources or follow-up, but it's an amazing program that can get you a flight experience to see if you're interested. So that's exactly what happened to this pilot here, Nathan. He flew as a young child, was so inspired, and he's now a commercial pilot for his job. So he also volunteers his time with us, and we had a couple questions for him about what that's like to fly students. And in this video clip too, you'll also see one of our board members, our board of directors, Dave Hubbard, and he works with the FAA, and he's got a unique perspective on our program as well. So go ahead and hit play, Sonika, please.
My name is David Hubbard, and I serve on the board of directors for STEM Flights. I was fortunate to have my first airplane ride when I was around 12 or 13, and it simply changed the course of my life. And I've been involved in aviation ever since. Through most of human history, people have wanted to fly, and now we do it routinely. And aviation as a whole is constantly changing and evolving, and so it's a very exciting field.
My name is Nathan Walsh, and I'm a STEM Flights pilot mentor. I'm currently employed as a corporate pilot, and then I also work as a flight instructor. When I was younger, I did a Young Eagles flight here at the Winchester Airport. I decided that I really loved aviation and we wanted to continue flying, so I met a pilot here at the Winchester Airport and did a whole bunch of flying with that gentleman. And from there, I was solidified that I definitely want to do a whole bunch of flying.
I see in aviation the perfect embodiment of STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math. And it's one of the few activities that blends them together seamlessly. So as from an educational standpoint, you really get your pick of what you want to learn and how deep you want to go. And it's endless and it's changing, and there's really nothing quite like it.
Introducing the youth to aviation is, I believe, important. Not only is it exciting for me to share my passion with people that I get to teach every day, but I'm really sparking the bug for aviation and continue the industry is very important.
Education has the most value when you can immerse yourself through an experiential way. And aviation gives that to you already in the process of flight and being engaged both with the aircraft and in the environment. and your local community, you learn in a very immediate way that everything is interconnected and how aviation works, but also how systems and industry works. And that's precisely the type of perspective that we're looking to give young people as they are starting to expand their own perspectives and seeing what they can be involved in.
Just sparking the bug of aviation into people is really important, I think. So just continuing the love that I have for aviation, training that passion is important. So I give my time.
It's fun, it's meaningful, it's impactful. Having been on the youth side of it, having my life completely changed through a introduction in flying. It's just really neat to give that experience to another young person. With aviation, you don't have to wait until you go through a particular course and check a bunch of boxes. It's right there in your local airport. It's inside your cockpit, and through the guidance of a pilot mentor and other experienced professionals, you can really get a lot more bang for your buck.
Thanks, Sonica. That was definitely a video that we shared to for pilot mentors who are signing up for our program to really let them know the impact that they can make on young people. You can go ahead and hit the next slide, Sonica. So there's a quick snapshot, if you will, of our program and the benefits that you can get out of a flight experience with us in your community. And a great way to keep up with STEM flights is follow us on any one of the social medias. It seems like we're on all of them. We post pictures and stories and all kinds of information almost daily. So whatever platform you're on, you'll probably be able to find us. We also have a newsletter that goes out quite regularly that you can sign up for by visiting our website. At the very bottom, there's a way to sign up for it, and you can keep up with the news and what our program is doing. That's a great way to keep up with us. And next slide, Sonica, please. And this is my contact information. So like I said, the website's pretty comprehensive. You can go straight there and sign up. And also you can email me directly. I'm happy to answer questions. I'm happy to talk about the status of your application. I'm happy to answer any questions from your parents or your teachers or anything else about our organization. I'm always available, and I love chatting with students. So I really appreciate this opportunity to talk about STEM flights, and I would love to open it up to any questions that anyone has.
If you already filled out an application and sent it to you, and you already chose your option, can you change it again?
Absolutely, yes. So that's a really great question. Thanks for asking that. So let's say you submitted your application and you really weren't sure why it was asking you for this mission, and you just picked one because you weren't sure. That's no problem. So when we reach out to you to pair you with your pilot mentor, just make a note of that. Just say, hey, Carly, thanks. I did some further reading on the mission and I'd like to change the mission. That's not a problem at all. All of our pilots are given a checklist along with our students as well. So the checklist will let the pilot know exactly what they need to do while they're in the air with you. And the checklist stays the same for every flight mission, except for about 3 or 4 different maneuvers that we're going to ask them to do in the air. So that's the only thing that'll change. And yes, you can absolutely change that. Also, I'm just going to piggyback on that question because I get this one a lot too. If you've already done a STEM flight mission and you've had an opportunity to fly, can you do it again? And the answer to that is yes. We just ask that you change your mission and explore something else next time. So in some areas, I have a lot of students and not as many pilots. And in some areas, I have a lot of pilots and not as many students. So as long as there aren't a lot of people in line ahead of you, you can do as many STEM flight missions as you like. That's not a problem.
When do we get paired with our mentor?
That's another really great question. So that sort of depends on how many pilots I might have in your area. So for example, here in Virginia, where I am and at my airport, I have a lot of students signed up because we're really well known in the community. And this is our headquarters. So there's a lot of news articles that come out about us, and people are really excited. So I have a list of about 10 students right now that are waiting. And I'm telling them, you know, it's between 30 and 45 days, only because I have so many in this area and I only have about 4 pilots that are able to fly. And it also depends on weather. It depends on the pilot's schedule. Like I said, all the pilots donate their time. So it could be as short as a couple of weeks turnaround, or it might be a little bit longer. And don't hesitate to reach out to me directly and just say, hey, I'm still waiting to hear back about a pilot, and I can let you know what the status is of finding a pilot in your area, or if there's a list of students ahead of you.
So we'll get an email when we're paired up?
That's right. You'll get an email that says, great news, here's your pilot. And then how that works too is the email address that your parent signed up with, okay? Whatever one they chose on that application is where the email will go to. And it'll also connect you with the pilot mentor. And then this is a really great part of our program too, because you and the pilot mentor are going to work out the best time for you guys to meet at the airport. Maybe it's next weekend, maybe it's after school one day. Your guardian and your parent will work out directly with the pilot, a really good time for you all to meet. And, you know, I'm sure, as you can understand, when you're flying, you really have to think about weather. So sometimes we have pilots and students pairing and the weather doesn't cooperate that day and then they reschedule. But you'll have your pilot's contact information and you'll work together to find the best time.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, those are great questions. Thank you.
Is this available the entire year? Like,
yeah, that's a really great question too. Thanks for asking that. This is available all year round. Some parts of our country are you can fly all year. Other parts, weather can be a little bit more of an issue, but this is an ongoing program. So we have pilot mentors delivering flights all the time. So in your area, whenever your pilot is available is when you get matched with them, and just working out schedules and working out around weather. That's, you know, they'll find the right time. But yeah, this certainly isn't a beginning of school thing or a fall thing or a spring thing or a summer thing. This goes on all year long.
another question.
Sure.
Oh, sorry, I lost the question.
Did you forget?
Yeah.
Well, maybe it'll come back to you.
I'm sorry, wait, hold on. Oh, is it available next year too?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. This is an ongoing mission. We've been pairing students with pilots since 2018, and we're growing almost daily, it feels like. So if you're not quite ready this year, or if you have a friend that's not quite ready, either they're a little too young or they're not sure if they want to go, or maybe you have a sibling that's a little bit too young, send them to us when they meet those age requirements. And we're really looking for that middle to high school age range right now. So feel free to send them back to us whenever the time is right for them.
So once we sign up and you know what day, how would we know who our mentor is when we go wherever we need?
When you go to the airport? That's a great question. Do you mean how are we going to know it's that person is for us?
Yeah.
Yeah, you might walk into an airport and you're like, is there a pilot around here somewhere for me? Because I don't know. That's a really great question. Most of our flights are going to happen at smaller regional airports. So if you're thinking about airports and you're thinking of the really big ones that you take international flights out of, they won't happen at airports big like that. They'll be your small local regional airport. And if you've never been to your local regional airport, I suggest take a field trip out there. They're awesome. And they love when students come out, even if it's for no reason but to check it out. So your pilot will be from a regional or small airport in your area. And to be honest with you, they tend not to be super busy. So your pilot will pick a designated spot for you to meet probably at the main terminal, and they'll let you know what room they're in. Maybe it's a conference room, maybe it's a meeting room. A lot of our pilots, if the weather's nice and depending on what's going on with COVID, they're going to want to meet outside. So they might tell you, walk straight through the terminal out onto the ramp and I'll be there with my airplane. Sometimes pilots like to do that. Some of our pilots have their own hangar at the airport, and they might tell your parent to drive straight to their hangar so that you can do some stuff with the airplane outside as well. Also, that's reminding me of a really good point. Thanks for bringing up that question too, is we do have a COVID policy in place. So we know that, we're still in dealing with this pandemic, and some communities are hit harder than others. So we do ask that our parent and the pilot work out vaccination status and wear masks when they're indoors, depending on what your local community rules are. And mostly what our pilots like to do is just try to do most of it outside, because all of your online learning will be done at home. And when you have the flight experience, you'll walk around the airplane, you'll do the safety pre-briefing, you'll do the debriefing afterwards, and all of that is done outside. So if it's a nice weather day, your pilot's probably going to try to do everything outside, and we'll leave it up to your parent and the pilot to work out any other COVID issues that they want to deal with.
So is the online learning because of COVID, or was it always online learning?
It's always online. Yeah, that's a great question too. No, we've always had the online curriculum available so that our students can learn which missions they're really interested in. And you can do that at your own pace. You guys are blowing me away with these questions. They're really good. I love it.
I have a question. It came back.
Okay.
Will we get to fly the plane, or is it like a co-pilot situation?
That's a really good question too. I'm so impressed with you. Yes. So we do not offer flight instruction. So I have to say that per FAA regulations, we do not offer flight teaching. So our pilots are just private pilots. Now, yes, every single one I've ever known always wants the student to take over the controls for a few minutes, only if you're comfortable with it. But they really encourage the students to try the yoke, try to see what it feels like to turn the airplane a little bit, push up and push down. So you can really learn about those aerodynamics, about why airplanes fly.
That's
Some
a little
students, yeah, it's a little scary. Yeah, only if you're comfortable with it though. Most students really want to try it, at least just for a minute, or maybe even just for a few seconds, so you can say that you did it. But only if you're comfortable, and I can promise you, you're going to want to.
I just joined. When is it going to be in Virginia?
We have tons of pilots in Virginia. So what I said earlier is, if you're interested to find out if there's pilots available in your area, fill out the online application on our website. And we will, once that application hits our system, then we start actively looking for pilots in your area for you. But we started in Virginia, and I have pilots all over the state. And this is probably the state that we're the most active in, actually, because it's where our founder and chairman lives. It's where I live. And a lot of us fly out of Virginia. So your odds of getting a flight in Virginia are drastically increased simply because we've been operating here for so long.
I just forgot what I was gonna say. Is our parent gonna come into the flight with us?
That is such a great question too. That is an awesome question. We don't offer that as an opportunity to the parents. We encourage the parent to come to the terminal. Depending on the age, some of our high school students come by themselves, which is totally fine as long as they have the liability form filled out by the parent. But our younger students obviously need to be driven to the terminal. Mostly parents want to stay and watch because it's really awesome. In fact, they like to walk around the airplane with the students. They like to be there when the student lands. Occasionally, some of our pilot mentors will offer to the parent, would you like to go also? At that point, the parent can determine, yes, they do want to go, or no, they don't. And we just ask that they sign a liability waiver as well before they get into the aircraft. So that's up to the pilot's discretion. So to answer your question, no, we don't offer that as an option, but many of our pilots will ask anyway, just because they want to deliver that experience to your parent as well. If you're in a situation where you'd feel more comfortable with your parent going with you, we can certainly arrange that and work with a pilot who's got enough room in their aircraft for that. But we do encourage our students to think of it as a one-on-one, a pilot and student experience only. Very good question though.
Okay, so I live in New York, so I haven't been vaccinated yet since I'm 11. So would that affect me going onto the plane?
We don't have vaccination requirements at all for our program. We do offer, we do leave it up to our pilot mentors. So for example, when COVID, first happened, we had some pilots that said, I'm not gonna volunteer right now. I'm at high risk until I get vaccinated. Most of our pilots are still happy to fly students and vaccinate. We do not require any kind of vaccination to fly in the aircraft. Again, I leave that up to our volunteer pilots to work with your parent to figure out the best way to approach things and the safest way to do it for your family and for the pilot. So I can't answer on behalf of all of our pilots. They're from all over the country, and they're all in different unique situations regarding their own personal health care. So we leave that up to them. But if I make a connection with you and your pilot, you can safely assume that they're interested in flying with you, and they might just ask that you mask up in the cockpit. Some of our pilots are vaccinated and they don't ask our students to mask up at all. But again, we leave that up to the pilot and your parent to work together to find out the best way to approach that particular experience. Good question though.
Thank you.
I joined a bit late, so I'm a bit confused about the whole thing. So do
Yeah.
we learn about our mission online and then we fly based off of our mission?
That you nailed it. That's exactly right. So online, you'll find the 6 available missions. And when you submit your online application, you'll choose which mission you're most interested in. And then your pilot mentor actually has a checklist with them, and they know ahead of time which mission you chose. The checklist is almost identical for every flight, but there's a couple of maneuvers that we ask our pilot mentors to do in the air, and it's going to complement the learning that you already did online. So it will be, if you chose climate and weather, we'll ask your pilot to do a couple of maneuvers that are going to highlight the climate and weather. And then, if you do a different mission, they might have a few different things that they do in the air with you.
So is there a set amount of classes before we fly, or it's?
No, we just ask that you read over your mission in depth. The missions were developed by a science teacher and a pilot together to really just kind of give you some basic knowledge about the types of career pathways that mission covers in aviation. So we just ask our students to read the mission, to know, what it says on there. There's some links that'll take you to some different learning about career pathways. And let's take climate and weather, for example, since we keep using that one. Make sure you read your mission, come prepared to chat with your pilot about that mission, and be ready to fly that experience.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Can we do like 2 during one mission, or is it like 1 every time?
We really encourage our students to do 1 mission at a time. We feel like there's a lot of opportunity for learning that particular mission, but all of our missions are available on our website. You don't need special access to get to them. So if you're just curious and you want to read about all of them, definitely do that. And if you have any questions, your pilot mentor is going to be happy to answer them. But specifically, he'll have a checklist that will represent 1 mission of choice. But we encourage you to read and research as much as you would like about all of the available missions. You'd be a star student, really. You'd know more than your pilot mentor, that's for sure. So feel free to, take those missions and read as much as you'd like about any of them.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
Is there like specified pilots for specified missions, or is it like one pilot does all, like there's like every single pilot does all the missions?
That's a really good question too. No, any pilot can deliver these missions. So what we give our pilots is some information about our missions, and they're going to do certain maneuvers in the air that are going to complement your mission. So these aren't going to be experts in their field. In fact, you'll be a really good expert more than the pilot mentor. What they're really there to do is to share their passion for aviation, share their airplane, share their time, give you some mentoring about choices that they made in their personal careers and in their life that got to them to the point where they own an airplane and they're a pilot. And we provide them with the information that they're going to need to benefit the mission that you are learning. So I was kind of half joking when I said you'll know more than your pilot mentor, because in some cases you will. They're not doing the same level of research that we're asking for our students to do, but they will be able to do maneuvers in the air with the aircraft that are going to highlight those missions for you. So any pilot can really deliver our missions. We have minimum requirements of them. They have to have 300 hours. We do all the background checks and certify that the pilot has met the specifications to be a pilot mentor. But they will be from all walks of life. Some will be former military, some will be airline captains, some will be commercial pilots, and some will just be people in your community that love flying and you didn't even know had an airplane. So they'll be from all different types of backgrounds and careers. And we really ask our pilot mentors to share that with you, share the types of STEM jobs that they've done, share why they love aviation, and really be there to mentor you and answer questions, not just about these missions, but about aviation in general and about, you know, life in general, and some decisions that they made in their life to get them to where they are today.
So will the pilots, before we start like doing the flight like check and everything, would we do like flight inspection, would we be like learning anything like how the online classes would be learning something like that but in person?
Yeah, so you'll be learning all about when you get to the airport. Is that what you mean? What you'll be learning when you get to the airport?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So that's a great question. When you get to the airport, you'll be fully immersed in aviation. So there's a lot of learning to do about aviation and how to get an airplane ready to fly. And that's called a pre-brief, or a where you walk around, pre-flight is what we call it, excuse me. And that's where your pilot is going to walk around the airplane with you, and you're going to learn all about aerodynamics. Why does this plane fly? What do the rudders do? What does the aileron do? What do the wings do? All the different buttons you have to hit, all the different types of fuel checks that you have to do. You're going to learn a lot about that airplane, why it flies, and all the safety things that you have to do before you can even get off the ground. And then when you get in the cockpit, it's going to be a whole different learning lab as well. So you're going to learn about radio communication. You're going to check the weather. You're going to listen for winds. You're going to learn about navigation because you're going to be taking off on a certain runway versus another. So yes, the learning is going to be pretty intense as soon as you get to that airport. The easiest part of this journey is going to be the online learning, going over the missions. There's a lot to take in, and your pilot is going to go over it very detailed with you. When you're in the air, how it's flying, the direction, the weather, the climate, the density, altitude. There's so many aviation buzzwords that I won't even kill you with tonight. But you'll be in intense learning mode. And then when you get on the ground, there's a lot more work to do to secure the airplane and to check that everything is put away safely. You have to walk around the airplane again and getting it back where it belongs. So yes, there'll be a lot of really interesting learning that's going to happen the second you step foot on that terminal. Also, I'd like to point out too, like I said before, for those of you who haven't been to your local airport, this is going to be a really great learning experience too, because you're going to learn all of the great ways that your local or regional airport contribute to your community. There are so many different jobs going on out there. They're vital parts of every community for safety standpoint, businesses that use it, helicopters that transport patients to medical facilities. You'll learn a lot about your local airport and why it's good for the community. So there'll be a lot of learning going on as far as that is concerned as well.
Excuse me, I have a question.
Okay.
So, how much time will the flight take?
That's a great question. So we typically ask our pilots and our students to block out, you're you're going to want to go ahead and block out at least 2 hours for your flight experience. And potentially more. On the safe side, I'd block out about 3 hours for it. The actual flight itself, we do ask our pilot mentors to deliver a 45 to 60-minute flight, somewhere around there. So it's going to be a little bit longer of a flight. You'll be in the air for a little bit longer, but the pre-flight is going to take 20 or 30 minutes just to get off the ground. And then you'll do some stuff, you'll fill out your checklist with your pilot. And then when you get back on the ground, there's going to be another debrief as well. So you could safely assume 2 hours. I'd give yourself a little bit more time if you could, so you could get to know the airport a little bit, see the terminal, maybe meet the people that work there, and really take your time enjoying the entire experience. You could get it done in 2, but I'd give yourself 3 hours.
What can we expect the flight to be?
I'm sorry?
Can we expect the flight to be?
How long or when?
Yeah, no, like when.
Okay, so that depends on what area of the country you live in and how many pilot mentors I have in your area. So after you submit your online application and your letter of recommendation, that's when we get to work trying to find pilots ready for you in your area. So I'm telling students right now, depending on where you are, you might allow for a few weeks, 30 days, 60 days at the longest. It really depends on where you are. Some students are applying in communities where I don't have any pilots yet. So it's our job then to go find pilots in that area to volunteer to fly students. That can take a little bit of time, just depending on weather, depending on how many pilots I have in that area, and depending on how many students are in line before you.
That's good to know. Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
What are the missions going to be?
I'm sorry, what?
What are the missions going to be?
So the missions are on our website. It's stemflights.org. And at the top navigation, you'll see STEM missions.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
Is there a specific, depending on the state, is there a specific place where you're going to go, or do you just go randomly?
Yes, that's a great question. So your pilot mentor who we connect you with will have a really good idea of where they're going to want to fly you. For example, if your mission of choice is navigation, they might want to take you, maybe you live in an area that has mountains or waterfalls, or maybe you live in an area that's got some really neat geographical features, or maybe you live in an area that's really flat and you'll practice using sun and other navigation tools to figure out where you are. So that's where we lean on our pilot mentors who fly in that area often, and they're going to have a really good idea of where they're going to take you. So yeah, to answer your question, yes, it depends on where you are and where your regional airport is and what pilots are there that they want to fly you around in that area. You won't go far from the airport. A 45-minute flight won't take you, more than 20 miles away and back probably. But your pilot is going to want to probably show you. Almost everybody wants to fly over their house. They think that's really fun, and I think it's fun too. So make sure you bring your phone and your camera if you want to take some pictures of your house from above or your friend's house. They'll probably want to fly you over the city. They'll want to fly you over maybe your school, things like that. That's really fun to see from the air. And then they might, pilots in the area probably know some really safe spaces to practice some maneuvers near their airport. So we leave that up to our pilot mentors to determine that, but you can pretty much bet on the fact that you're going to see your house from above.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Can we try at least, can we try all of the missions at least once?
Absolutely, that's a great question. So I did mention that earlier, that we ask you to sign up for one mission at a time so your pilot can deliver that experience. Once you've flown your flight experience, you can certainly sign up again to receive we just ask that you do a different mission each time. And that's just going to be based on, the pilot mentor availability in your area and how many students are in line before you.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
So if I want to do online, I want to do online learning. And so what would we do the online learning on?
You would go to stemflights.org and our missions are there. There's 6 available missions. There's a drop down that says missions, and you can drill into each one of those different missions and do the learning associated with it.
Okay. And like who do I have to get the letter of recommendation from? Cause
That can be done from a parent, a friend, a teacher, anybody in your life that would recommend you for a flight experience.
okay.
Thank you all for your amazing questions.
They were so good, Sonika. I'm so impressed with them.
I
These kids are they were ready. They came prepared. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for interacting with Carly. I'm gonna put her contact information into the chat here so you guys can email her and check out the website too if you have any more questions. But thank you all for joining us today. I want to take a little bit at the end to just say thank you to STEM Flights and especially Carly for all her awesome information and for coming out tonight to reach out to all the kids in the community who are clearly so excited just based on all their questions. We hope you guys all have a new curiosity for aviation and will become involved with the STEM Flights program. I would also like to thank the TANA leadership for taking the initiative to reach out to all of these students in our community and inspire them and provide them with all this amazing information. I'm a student myself and I learned a lot from this presentation and I wish I had known about it when I was younger because I know I would have loved to be a part of the program. And finally, I'd like to thank all of you students for joining, those in the Zoom call who asked all these awesome questions and interacted with Carly, and those who are joining in from the live stream. We hope you all enjoyed this evening and learned a lot with the opportunity to ask questions directly to an expert in the field of aviation. So we hope you all join us again in the future for more TANA STEM and cultural events. And you can stay updated with all of these on our website and Facebook page. So if you have any questions, reach out to us at tanacapital.org. And if you have questions specifically for Carly or about STEM flights, I put that information in the chat, but Carly's email is carly@stemflights.org or www.stemflights.org. That is all for the evening, and we hope you all have a great rest of your night. Thank you.
Thank you, Sonika. This was awesome. Thank you all. We'll see you on the flight line.
Okay.
Thank you, guys. Have a good night.
You too. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much.